You are live.
Oh, shoot. I didn't even notice. I was sitting there texting. So I feel like we should have a drinking game.
Yeah.
The drinking game should always be every single time the commentators mention Hendrick Motorsports, Denny's Restart, or JGR and Hendrick being the only two winners, you take a shot.
Yeah. That would, there's a couple of guys that had won already.
I feel like if we were to do that drinking game, almost everyone would die.
God bless America, and gentlemen, start your engine!
Still down there. Still down there.
Still outside corner, you're number one.
Was out. Hell was out. Nancy just about out-wrecked him. And then she busted her ass.
And just like I was saying, we do it that way. Right?
Yeah.
Everyone get that?
I like that idea.
Exactly.
So the
Hopefully
drinking
nobody
game
missed any of
is
that. Super important that he didn't miss any of it.
the drinking game is if they talk about Hendrick, Joe Gibbs, short track racing, and hot rod. Any of those words get dropped, especially hot rod. If you hear hot rod, that's double shot.
That's double. That's a well shot.
Yeah.
Well shot.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. So
We don't have much to talk about because it was a horrible race. So thanks for tuning in. We'll see y'all next week.
Yeah. Oh, goodness gracious. I'm reading text messages from people that can't make it. I'm in Kentucky and my internet won't load. I mean, I can't believe these people.
Problem. Maybe you shouldn't be in Kentucky.
We call it Kentucky for a reason.
Yeah.
Did you get an Instagram going? I'm looking to see if Instagram's live.
It's on there. It took a second to load up.
Oh, there it is. Okay. Oh, turn that down. Okay, before it starts yelling at me.
What up, Will? Appreciate
What
you.
up, William? Don't worry, we got you in there.
Dalton, what up, brother?
Perfect. Got everything set up. All right. Sorry, guys. Trying to make everything go here. Finish the story. Oh, wait. Wrong sport. My bad, guys. Hope you didn't miss it. Hope you paid attention. There's going to be a test at the end. You can't get anything wrong. All right. What's up, Levi? How's it going, Rick? Thank you all over on the Instagram side. Remember, on the Facebook and YouTube side, we can post the comments up onto the board so everyone can see it. The Instagram side, we can't, but we do see them. So
what's up, Levi?
We are going to keep it here.
I saw you hung out with old NG there at Martinsville.
Bro, what photo are you using, Kelly? Bruh.
It's more professional than you.
But all right, so I do want to start this episode right now. I got 5 people on this side, a couple more on the Instagram side. I'll bring it up again throughout the piece. One of the things we've talked about, and everyone's talked about in this sport, is horsepower when it comes to short tracks. Well, really horsepower in general, but horsepower especially when it comes to fixing these short tracks. We've always talked about it. We've always complained about it. So we finally decided to make a petition to see what we could get started, what we could get rolling through the powers of social media. So you'll see it on the board where it is posted up on YouTube. It's pinned, but it will be the in our link tree as well, which is on TikTok. It's a link tree that's in our Instagram. So go to our bio there as well and go to the petition and sign it. It is for NASCAR and horsepower. They have already, or I signed them to join it already. So we'll see what actually comes from it, but make sure you go check that out. Sign that petition. Let's see if we can make something happen. If we get enough people sharing it and putting it out there, who knows? Maybe we can actually get some freaking horsepower in this sport.
Yeah, I'm hopefully optimistic. How about that?
Hopefully. I mean, it's just one of those things. Everyone complains about it. Drivers like. And let's see if we can do something. If nothing else, you wasted all of 2 minutes to sign it real quick.
I mean, it took me 30 seconds. So,
yeah.
And I mean, gracious.
Can we stand another Martinsville? Can we stand another Richmond? This was bad. Like, if we're sitting here and we're saying, hey, Richmond needs to lose a date. And not saying Martinsville with what we just saw doesn't need to lose a date as well. You're kidding yourself. Even Phoenix doesn't deserve 2 dates. It sells out because of the way they do their marketing, but that product is terrible. We have not seen a good short track other than Bristol.
I think if you were to rate the short tracks with this current package, I think you could put Bristol at the top, especially concrete Bristol. I'm not even going to talk about dirt Bristol. Thank God we moved on from that. But when you're talking about who's at the bottom right now, Martinsville is the worst race of the year currently with this package.
Yeah, and it's just they've made a mistake at Bristol, and it worked. If they're not going to give us the tire that they gave us for Bristol, which was apparently a happy accident, they got to give us horsepower. They got to give us something, because right now NASCAR was, it was built on some of these short tracks. We changed. I mean, the Roval came about because 1.5 mile tracks were terrible. So now, how do we bring these short tracks back around and get people back in the stands again? Because we're going to start losing more and more people, more and more fans, if we don't fix this.
I mean, I remember when Martinsville was a hot ticket to have, just like Bristol.
Mhm.
It wasn't that long ago that Martinsville was a sold-out crowd. But now it looked like that was maybe 3/4 of the way filled, and what was about 1,500 of them were Hendrick employees.
Yeah, if Hendrick didn't show up for this for their 40th anniversary,
It looked bad.
the attendance would have been abysmal. And it's not enough. They have the clock. Obviously, they have the clock. It's a cool trophy. Agree with it all 100%, but it's not worth 2 days at the moment. Over here on the Instagram side, we got Levi saying should have took the Bristol tire to Martinsville. Why they didn't take it to Richmond and Martinsville, I don't understand.
Well, I mean, we've had 3 weeks now since Bristol went by, and everybody's come out and said that if we have that exact same tire we had at Bristol, we can make that tire last longer. It's just about how you set up the car. So these teams are smart enough to know that and know how to set up a car to make those tires last. So what's the problem if you go to Martinsville with this tire that's wearing out like it was at Bristol, and you know that going into the race, why can't we try it? I mean, we literally, I think we just have now hit rock bottom as far as the highs of the Daytona 500 Netflix series, coming off Atlanta 3 wide finish, all of that. And now we're kind of back to, okay, this is NASCAR. Where's the direction we're going to go now?
Yeah. And other than one race so far this year, anyone other than JGR or Hendrick have not won a race.
Yeah. Ford is winless. Suarez is the only guy that won other than Hendrick and JGR. And I mean, really, it was Blaney's, I thought Blaney was going to win that race. So if we look at the points right now, you've got Larson on top, you have William Byron right there, you have Truex right there, and Denny Hamlin right there. I mean, we've got 4 guys that are going to kind of run away with, I feel like, the regular season championship. As it stands right now, I mean, somebody can get hot, and rattle off some wins like William has, but I think
go ahead. We've seen Ford get hot, right?
Yeah, I was just going to say that I think we've kind of gone from the parity of this car to where you don't really know who's going to win week in, week out, or you kind of have an idea. But I mean, the way it's going right now, Hendrick or JGR. Place your bets.
I mean, and it's crazy. You boys are making too much sense. And the fans know it. The drivers know it. Everyone knows it. Everyone keeps talking about it. The only people that don't know it is NASCAR. So do us a favor, sign the petition, and then come on right back. Or wait till the end, sign it then. I don't care. It doesn't matter as long as you sign it. And then share it to as many people as you got. But I want to talk about the race. Obviously, we had trucks. We had Xfinity.
I watched neither.
I didn't watch too much of trucks. I watched Xfinity. It was pretty good. Xfinity turned into a wreck fest though, like normal.
Yeah, I heard both were wreck fest, so I was just like, what we saw at the Martinsville Xfinity race in October of last year or November, whenever it was, wreck fest. It's been that way for the last couple of years. Truck Series been the same way. I'm not going to tune into something like that.
Yeah. But I do want to touch on the tire wear. We already obviously have talked about it a little bit. Hold on, let me see what Levi's saying over here. I think drivers and teams were taken by surprise at Bristol, and that's why that gave them negative feedback during the race. Yeah, they didn't know what they were to prepare for, and then they went into the race thinking it was going to be one thing. It was completely different, and so that's what made it so difficult. And that's what we need. We need the drivers, we need the teams to be scrambling when it comes to the race itself, not just already having all the answers. Who was it said parity? I think it was Rick. Yeah. Rick said parity racing, Hendricks up or JGR.
Yep.
Those two teams have the most people behind the scenes working for them. So they're seeing all this data. They're putting it all in place. They're looking and seeing times, braking times, everything behind the scenes, and then they're coaching their guys on it because they have the staff.
And don't forget about Penske. I mean, if Ford, I think Ford is still a step behind. If they get this figured out with this new body change and everything, I feel like you're going to see Penske be right there dominant with the 12 and the 22. So that race felt scripted for sure. Yes, that race, we went into the weekend talking all about Hendrick 40th anniversary, the special paint schemes, all of that. And it felt that way for sure.
Yeah, and so before I touch on Bills, Levi over here says, knowing what they know now, I think they'd make a darn good race with that tire. Yes, they would know how to make it last longer.
That's
what I figured out.
What I was saying.
Is done. Yeah, exactly what you're talking about. And that's why we need the horsepower, because that's the leveler. Whether they figure out the tire or not, it takes a driver to figure this out. And if they put too much, they hit that skinny pedal a little too much, the back end's kicking out. They're going to wear the tire out faster.
I know that horsepower is in our mind is horsepower is the number one fix to this. Obviously NASCAR, what's up, Pit Daddy? Obviously NASCAR is going to do everything they possibly can not to add horsepower to the cars. They're going to go whatever alternative route they can go. That being the case, what was the number one problem at Martinsville this weekend? I think it was shifting. Like, if they can figure out how to get rid of shifting for one, which I don't know how they're going to, that may solve some of the issues we see at Martinsville, but it doesn't fix everything.
Well, and that's kind of what we saw in the Xfinity race was there was no shifting. So you kind of got to see the comers, the goers, not tremendous, but they were at least able to get up on each other. Yes, there was a lot of accidents, but that was because they were able to actually get to one another's bumper. There wasn't the person that could just sit there and drop a gear and fix whatever mistake they just made.
Joey Logano. Joey Logano is a perfect example of it. He stayed out, or he took two tires, shocked everybody, held on, led 80 laps, I think it was, on two tires. And it wasn't until the very end of that run that Hamlin was able to make any ground on him and pass him. I mean, Hamlin was beating his bumper off trying to get by him, and it still didn't happen.
Two drivers made NASCAR look like a fool this week. Joey Logano and Denny Hamlin. Joey Logano did it by running over 170 laps on the same exact set of tires, and they had just started to blister. Denny Hamlin made him look like a fool because he pitted. Now, I don't know why he pitted. We'll talk about this a little bit later, but he pitted right there at the end to put two tires on to try to get maybe a leg up, or if it turned into a wreck fest, he would have that kind of ability to get back out there. He went backwards. Fresh left side tires went backwards. NASCAR, what's going on here? How do we fix this? The tire is terrible. We need the horsepower. We got to fix these problems to get these tracks back.
I would agree. These new cars are really hard to move compared to the old bumper and tag. Yeah, I mean, we were riding on board Denny towards the end of that second stage when he was trying to get by Logano, and Denny was shooting him in the corner every single lap, not just little bumps. I mean, shoving him in the corner.
Yeah.
Where Joey had to slow down to make the turn, and Hamlin was just basically using Logano as the brakes, and it didn't do anything. Once especially lap traffic. How many times have we seen with the old car that these guys get in lap traffic? That's when passing happens, or they get held up a little bit, or they can even pass lap car. How many times do we see lap cars going multiple laps down if they're off the pace? We don't even fucking see that no more.
Austin Dillon held up two of the race leaders for over 50 laps,
and he was 30.
So he didn't go 2 laps down. He was already 1
seconds.
lap down. It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. We saw Bristol where they could pass. There was only 5 cars on the lead lap at the end.
Yeah, 5 or 6.
I mean, that's what was happening because they could pass. That's what's happening because that tire could wear out.
And granted, part of that was that long green flag strategy run, but there were no battles anywhere. Willie B was the only one that could pass. Willie B started what, 17th, almost 20th? The first stage, he was in the top 10.
Yeah.
I mean, he was the only car that could pass, like Dalton said. Going back to being scripted, how many of the Hendrick cars were top 10 the entire race? All of them.
Yeah.
Who qualified on the pole? A Hendrick car. Who won the race? A Hendrick car.
Yeah.
They were like top 5 speed the entire race.
And I went in and I was like, all right, I'm for fantasy. I put it in the group chat. I'm picking 3 Hendrick cars. This could be, it's a gamble. But in my mind, I was like, NASCAR's not going to let it be a gamble. I picked Willie B, I picked Larson, and I picked Chase. Yeah. I thought Chase was going to win the race. I did not pick Willie B to win it, but I picked Chase to win the race. And luckily, I mean, it worked out. But when a fan tunes in and they hear all about all this, how Hendrick is, Hendrick that, they finished top 3 for the first time in Martinsville history. It does go towards those fans that are going, is NASCAR scripted? It gives them more power. It gives them much more to talk about.
Yeah.
See, Levi says, Tom Majeski only pitted once during the truck race on lap 37, and the only thing that lost him the race was his restarts. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't watch the truck race, so I can't comment on that. The only thing I saw was NG rip the top line during stage 2 and went from 28 to 18.
I saw that. He was one of the biggest movers.
Well, I want to talk about this real quickly, too. It seemed like, and I get it, that it was the 40th anniversary race of Hendrick and everything. Like, I understand there's, like, they have to kind of talk about that. But it just seemed like that's all they focused on the entire race. I think they showed Noah 1 or 2 times during the entire race. They didn't show many other drivers or update many other drivers. Now, I could say that part of that was because I just didn't pay much of attention because it was hard to pay attention to that race. So
it was so boring.
Yeah, it was. Mike Helton said NASCAR is like a private subdivision.
It's like a roundabout in a private subdivision. That's what it is right now.
I would like to say that the petition that you created, I really have hope that it'll reach somebody in the executive side of NASCAR to show that this is what everybody wants. But I think that even if you had 100,000 signatures and it got to executive powers, they don't care. They don't care about what we like or what we want. They only care about the marketing side of NASCAR. And Denny said it himself that the corporate side of NASCAR, what Daytona wants is all the cars on one screen packed together.
Mm-hmm. Because they think in their mind, if they have those cars and they show the detail with the 4K cameras, they zoom in so they miss restarts, they zoom in so they actually miss lap changes. Yeah, they think that that's what's going to bring more people to the seats. That's what they think is going to bring there. That is my hope for the petition, because if we can sit there and get enough people in it and to where the media cycle starts picking it up, that's where enough people start talking about it that it might go somewhere. Whether it does or not, I don't know, but I'm really hoping that it does something here.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go ahead and
clearly someone has something to gain with what we have now. Yeah, I mean, I think the only direction is up from here, and I felt like some of the races we've had in the past with the next gen car has been pretty lackluster, and I felt like I've probably said it before that the only way is up. Well, how many times can I keep saying that? It doesn't seem like NASCAR. Well, we had a new aero package. Nobody talked about that, and it didn't do a fucking thing. Whatever aero package that they have been running the last couple of weeks on short tracks, it hasn't changed anything. It hasn't improved anything. I don't know where else to go other than add horsepower.
Yeah. There we go. All right.
Or tires.
They got to figure something out. Something's got to make it better. We'll see what comes from it. We'll see what happens. Hopefully NASCAR just makes some change, because the biggest thing is that they listen a little bit. That would be the biggest things that we could get. Need more
like-
horsepower flags flying in the infield.
I like what Levi just said.
Dude, I would love it. You know what? Tonight I might make up some flags, and I'll post. If we end up doing it, I'll post up some in Instagram
Can we
side.
get like a Kickstarter? Like do a Kickstarter campaign, and I don't know how many flags that we make up. Maybe 100 flags. Kickstarter campaign, and whatever the cost. Because we got the flags that we've been talking about personally.
Yep.
We could do something like that.
And I got the proofs back on those flags. They are going to be very nice.
Very nice.
Hit me up.
Very
I'm in.
nice.
All right, Levi.
Yes,
I'll look everything up tonight, and I'll see if I can't put something together.
Yeah, David, you're good at all that stuff. So figure that out and like look into the Kickstarter thing because you could push that on the TikTok side.
Yeah, and I mean we're going to be at Talladega in 1 week, so I mean it's not like we have to wait a long time before. Well,
we're racing at Texas this weekend.
Texas, dude.
I know, fuck Texas and everything, but I would like to say we're going to a mile and a half. Listen, we're going to a mile and a half for the first time since Atlanta, because some genius in NASCAR, Ben Kennedy maybe, figured we have the worst short track package of all time.
Period.
Let's put all the short track races all together.
Yeah.
One after another.
Yeah. They went from the West Coast swing to the children's swing or
Vegas.
the shitty swing.
Vegas. Yeah, thank God for Texas.
I can't say it. I know it's saving us from this short track, but I can't. I just can't. Corporate is definitely on point with NASCAR. I've seen a driver on nothing but being a wheelman against a driver with an advantage. Dale Earnhardt and Terry Labonte at Bristol.
Yep.
We got to fix it. I'm excited for Texas. I'm more excited for Texas than I am for Richmond and Martinsville both, and that says a lot. That's 100%. If there's a comment to take away, that is definitely is, because Texas is terrible ever since that reconfiguration. And I do want to talk about that real quick because of the Denny Hamlin.
Oh yeah.
That whole Twitter feud that came across. I still can't believe that Marcus Smith actually was responding. Do you think there were like too many drinks in and that's when it started coming up, or like what started this?
I don't know. Honestly, I thought at this point that, Denny is not afraid to speak his opinion, which I love. But the fact that Denny actually went out there and ripped, a CEO of, the tracks, half the tracks we race on.
Yeah.
That's pretty gutsy. Freedom of speech for one, but I don't know. I didn't really think that there was any type of beef or feud there. And then Marcus just to respond back and clap back and be like, "Well, where's your championship? I'll take it more serious if you got a championship."
Yeah, I mean, and Levi just said Smith is pretty passionate about his tracks. I will say that.
Yeah.
Yes.
We met Marcus at one time at Charlotte. He's a super nice guy.
Well, so when you left Bristol, he came, me and David Pittman, I think it was just us two, and I think that was all that was left. He came up because we were behind the stage, and he came up and started talking. Like, we talked with him. He was a really cool guy.
Yeah.
I mentioned the Greenville Pickens Speedway, and I was like, "Hey, we're not going to buy that," and he just kind of chuckled. Seems like a good guy, but man, he got upsetty spaghetti. That is for sure. But then he brought in the championship like 3 times.
For him to delete his tweets, though, like he said he would delete those tweets if Denny would call him. Do you think Denny called him?
I don't think Denny called him. I didn't
hear any. I haven't listened to Actions Detrimental, so
okay.
I don't even spoil anything for me there. But was there anything that was said prior to today, after the tweet beef, that? Yeah. So there was something like, did Denny talk about it?
So did you listen to the teardown?
No, I hadn't listened to anything today.
Did you watch the presser before the race, or sorry, after the race?
No.
Okay. So Denny talked about it after the race. They mentioned it. They talked about it in the teardown, and then Denny talks about it on his podcast. There is more to it than just that, what we saw. There is some stuff behind the scenes, and it does have to do with the bargaining agreement that nobody can agree with.
Okay, I can see that. I can definitely see that because Denny has talked about it before. I think it was last year on Actions Detrimental. He was talking about how the collective bargaining agreement, the race team alliance, everybody's been talking about. Obviously, the team's trying to get more money from the next TV deal, and he has said that the majority of the money of the TV deal goes towards tracks.
Yeah.
So I understand. I can see where the beef's coming from.
Yeah, because we're looking at NASCAR has done a lot of things with their tracks. We're looking at what SMI has done with their tracks. You look at Atlanta, they didn't even finish all the ticket booths. They repaved it, but they didn't tear it all the way down. So where's all their big percentage going? It's definitely not going back into the racing product as much as it could.
Yeah.
And then so on and so forth. So when you listen, all that'll make more sense, and you'll understand 100%
Yeah.
where he was coming from. I do see both sides. Levi says it on this side. Rick says Hamlin has a mouth, makes it fun. He does, and he's not afraid to say things, even as an owner. Obviously, Harvick in the booth and Harvick's podcast have both been really good. One, because he's gotten Clint Boyer, like he jabs Clint all the time, and I'm there for it. He gets Clint to shut up. It's perfect. Another piece of it too is he still talks Kevin. He still gives us the truth, and him and Hamlin both, that like it's perfect. I'm so glad that we have Kevin in the booth, and I'm so glad that Denny has his podcast as well as open as he is.
Yeah, we need more drivers to be more open-minded or open, unrestricted, I guess you could say, or uncensored.
So when the plans were made for Auto Club Speedway to make it a short track, that's when we had a decent short track package. We had a decent short track car.
And Auto Club was one of the best tracks on the circuit.
Yeah, and so unfortunately,
and we only went there once.
Yeah. So unfortunately, things happened.
But now Auto Club was owned by Roger Penske. It wasn't owned by SMI or NASCAR or anybody. No. It was owned by Roger Penske. So he ended up, I think he sold it to NASCAR, and then NASCAR was the one that then sold the track or most of the land to be able to obviously make a lot of profit.
Yeah.
Well, real estate in Southern California is pretty expensive.
Yeah, and I mean, they're going to try to figure out what they think is best. They're obviously going for what they think is best. However, they're going what they think is best that has a dollar sign attached to it.
Yeah.
They're looking at TV ratings in a way of, okay, how can we compete? I hate to say it. It's Texas, so it already is a track that not a lot of people love ever since the reconfiguration. And you're going against final tournament day at the Augusta National this week. I am looking forward to seeing how that affects the actual how many people tune in. Is it down? Is it down significantly? Because you have all these short tracks that have kind of started making people numb, and then everyone's hearing how Texas is. Are we going to lose some of those fans we just gained from, like you said earlier, the Netflix series and everything?
I think we've already lost them.
Very possible.
I think we've already lost them after I don't want to say Coda was a bad race, but for a casual fan tuning in to, if they even watched the entire race, to see a race that went, caution free the entire race, other than stage breaks, I think that may have, soured them a little bit. Then we end up at Richmond, we end up at Martinsville. All in all, Richmond wasn't a terrible race, mainly because it was back into the lights. But Martinsville, I'm beating a dead horse here. Worst race of the year so far. So yes, I think we've already lost most of those casual fans that have tuned in from Netflix. Like you said, Masters Sunday, same time as the Cup race at Texas.
Yeah.
The only thing I think that's going to kind of pick back up is Talladega the week after, and then we're going to finally get on a stretch here, late spring into summertime. Coke 600, that's going to be a sellout. Obviously, there's stories with Larson doing the double. There's a lot of marketing that's going to be coming up here that I think is going to kind of, I don't know, reinvigorate, but maybe spark some of these casual fans back in, hopefully.
Yeah. And while we got everyone here, and Levi, I think you're probably still on the Instagram side. I was just thinking the gears were turning in my head. What about give me horsepower or give me tires? Like give me freedom or give me, like something like that. So it's got that kind of spin off to it, or just need more horsepower. Put it in the comments what y'all think, which one we should go. Because
Make horsepower great again.
Make horsepower great again. I mean, there's a lot of things that we could go here. But I want to see what the people like before I start doing this little Kickstarter thing and seeing if we can't get some flags out there for the people. But yeah, I mean, we got to figure this out. The fact that Logano was able to run over 170 laps on those tires, and they still were, I mean, they had just started the blister. The wear on them still was not bad. Obviously, he was starting to lose space, but that's because of that blistering. And then Logano to put tires on and go backwards on a restart. I just can't see how NASCAR can turn a blind eye to that and not say anything and not figure out they need to figure something else.
Yeah. Make horsepower great again. I like it. I like it a lot. Yeah, we got Texas coming up, Talladega, Dover. I think Dover might not be a bad race. Kansas.
I'm excited for Kansas.
Kansas
Obviously I'm excited for Dega. I cannot wait for Dega because the boys, we're gonna be there. We're gonna be hanging out. We're gonna be having a great time at the Creek, the Dega Creek camp. You got the banner already. Thank you for picking that up. It's a big banner, ain't it?
5x5.
5x5. So y'all be able to see us. We'll be up there. We'll have the tents. I'll have everything there. Sounds good to me.
Darlington, Mother's Day.
Darlington's always, I mean, yeah.
And then North Wilkesboro. I'm a little intrigued about going back to North Wilkesboro because of the repave. I'm hoping.
I would love to be able to go to North Wilkesboro. If I could find tickets that don't go astronomical, I would probably make the day trip to go see it.
I'm hoping that turns out to be a good race and not a snooze fest like last year's. Even though Larson won, and I was happy to see that, I still that shit sucked.
Well, I'm interested to see, is the track going to hold up? Is it going to start falling apart? Obviously, we saw the whole thing that started that beef was Sonoma had some issues where they didn't tack the track apparently correctly before they put that last line of asphalt up. So I don't know.
I read a comment though about that. I forget. Good luck finding North Wilkesboro tickets into $300. Yeah, Dalton told me about that. I read a comment about the Sonoma deal, and somebody said it was probably California laws that prevented from SMI being able to put the right compounds down to tack the track up.
But see, the problem is when NASCAR repaves the track, they tear it down significantly, almost down to the ground. Like it goes all the way to the dirt. When SMI does it, they take the top layer or top couple layers off and then pave right over it, causing the issues to come up later. So
yeah, they go the cheap route.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter if they weren't allowed to do that right there. If they would have done it the right way, the professionals say
Atlanta was the right way. They did Atlanta the right way, but that was
even Atlanta. They had to redo turn 2.
No, they did.
They had to redo turn 2 after they redid it.
Yes, but what I'm saying is they tore it down to like actual dirt.
Yes, correct. But they went cheap on the people that actually paved it. So Bill says they have a ton of horsepower, but then you start bitching about the tires. Here's the thing. I am not picking my tires based off of how they hold up in a race. I don't know who in their right mind would watch a NASCAR race, an F1 race, a road course race, and then go, you know what? I'm not going to buy Goodyear tires because they wear out on race cars.
That's the way I feel about. I mean, there's obviously brand association is something that's always been a part of NASCAR since the early days. A lot of people, whether you're sponsored by Budweiser, well, I'm only going to drink Budweiser because Kevin Harvick's sponsored by Budweiser, or Dale Jr., whoever.
Yeah.
But I can tell you right now, never in my life would I put Goodyear tires on my personal vehicle. So because Goodyear makes a tire that stands 500 miles without having to change them, that doesn't mean I'm going to put them on my truck.
Bro, it's not Nexons. It's Ling Longs. Everyone knows you got to get some Ling Longs on that thing.
Got to put them Ling Longs in them COVIDs.
Yeah. You got, let's see. Only reason, hold on. Rick said that's why people like Dega, you don't know who's going to win. It's true. Only reason we're going back to North Wilkesboro is to keep ticket sales up. So hopefully they keep it and don't leave it again. But they got to make it special. To me, the All-Star is not enough to make it special if they bring it back every single year. They need to switch out. They just got, they just bought another track back with the Bowman. Now, can we bring Rockingham back and make like every year we go to a different legacy track? Talked about that before.
I wouldn't even talk about going back to Rockingham as a legacy. I would talk about going to Rockingham as like on the schedule, points race. Replace Richmond.
Hey, that's what I'm about to say. Richmond's losing the date. Sub it back in. Hard to argue that. Atlanta fun to watch to the end. Yeah. Save NASCAR, give more horsepower. We got to figure something out. We've got to make a change. Life lessons, Andy. Goodyear isn't a good daily. Hey, give me Michelin or give me death. Or right now, I'm on the Nitto gang nowadays. But I mean, it's where it's at. But all right.
I mean, if Nitto came into the sport and they had, they were running 420s or something like that, I would be like, oh yeah, fucking run that shit.
So I am actually very surprised Nitto hasn't moved its way into any motorsports. I'm sure the amount that Goodyear pays for this deal is just ungodly. Yeah. But I'm surprised Nitto hasn't moved into more of other sports. I think they're in drifting.
Do you know it'd be awesome?
What?
Going to the tire thing here. Back in the 90s and even before then, we had tire wars. Yeah. Hoosier was in the sport. You had Goodyear and Hoosier. Yeah. So you could say that like Goodyear's like monopolized NASCAR, and what they bring is what you got. So why can't we have, two tire manufacturers? We have 3 different manufacturers of, race cars. What's the deal?
Rick said, you guys are young. I remember when Hoosier came into NASCAR, they didn't last long. They didn't, but I do agree with what you're saying, because if you look at F1, they can choose their tire. They can choose if they want to have
they have different compounds. Same manufacturer.
They have the different compounds. It's along those lines, but different. That'd be pretty cool. You can choose Nitto, you can choose Goodyear, or you can choose Hoosier.
At the All-Star race, and I know Dalton has one of the tires from it. At the All-Star race that one year, I think it was like 18 or something, that they had the 2 different compounds, the green Goodyears that were like a super soft tire, but they wore out really quickly. Why can't we explore an avenue like this?
Because there's too much money to be had for NASCAR.
Yeah. Beating a dead horse.
Just
Frank's over in the corner.
Just unfortunate. But all right, so we're about 37 minutes into it. Obviously, Martinsville was not a great race. Congratulations to Willie B with that victory. Obviously, giving Hendrick that win on their 40th anniversary. I mean, go figure that was going to happen. So let's move into our Texas picks, because there's just not much more we can talk about when it comes to this in Martinsville.
We keep beating Fred over here.
Andy's turning redder and redder. I think he's probably got some things going on.
Yeah.
Who's your pick for Texas? What's
all right? I do want to talk about something real quickly.
Oh, okay.
So I remember on last week's episode, you thought that Roush Fenway Keselowski was going to show up in full force and get that win at Martinsville. Buddy, I don't know what's going on with RFK, but they are not showing the speed they had last year.
They are not. They did decent at Richmond. They've been doing decent at some of the short tracks. I don't know what happened here. Keselowski's now fallen out of, if they were to stop it right now, what the playoff points would be needed. He's dropped out of that. Not very far, but he is out of that.
Busch is still in it.
They did not show up. Yeah, Busch is still in it, but it's just. Oof.
I made up the graphic to post on Instagram for the points and everything.
Yeah.
And I was looking at this, and we got Bubba Wallace in 12th. I wouldn't say it's a surprise, but I mean, he's higher up in points. He's like solidly in the points now. If he keeps running consistently, he's easily going to lock himself in the playoffs this year.
He's been very consistent in the top 5 to top 10 in a lot of these tracks.
I can see Bubba going round at 8 this year for sure.
Yeah.
And then one of the other surprises right now, Chase Briscoe, 16th.
Yep. Chase has been quiet. Chase has been coming up there and been very quiet about it. Let's see. Rick said, later, gents. Great to find you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in every week. We really appreciate it.
Give us a subscribe if you haven't. We'd appreciate that.
Yes, sir. But yeah, I mean, he's definitely been very quiet about it because Noah without that 35-point penalty would definitely be a lot higher than what he is right now too. But Jeff's been kind of doing it just under the radar. Obviously, he qualified really well for here at Martinsville, and ran, because you couldn't pass. He ran in the top 10 for the majority of that race.
Yeah.
So pretty good for them.
Yeah. So anyways, after that little RFK rant,
Just had to call
pick for Texas. I'm going low hanging fruit. Kyle Larson.
Of course, every time he gets blistered on something, the next time he comes back, it's going to be something great.
Blister. He finished second.
I know.
I mean, Kyle would have won that damn race last year if he didn't run out of talent behind Bubba Wallace.
He definitely ran. Yeah, this is true. I'm kind of thinking Bubba here, but you know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go with Bubba to win this one. He's been running really consistent. He typically does decent at this track. Obviously, Kansas is another one he does really well at.
He almost fucking won it last year. The fall race.
I'm gonna go Bubba. I'm gonna go Bubba with this one. I think regardless of Toyota is gonna win this race. So we'll see. I got no nerves. Yes, sir. But yeah, for sure.
I can't wait to see you, Daddy Dakota.
Dude, it's gonna be so much fun. Talladega is not ready for this. His pit crew is gonna lose this one.
Hey, if Kyle Busch doesn't have to pit, he can win the race.
Yeah, if his pit crews, I mean, they're out to get him for some reason. But we'll see. He'll see what comes from it. Obviously, thank goodness we're not at a short track. That's all we can say.
Can you put Austin Dillon as like maybe a little bit of a sleeper, long shot?
As far as he fell asleep, yeah, that's fine. Like, dude, I don't know what he's racing, but it's like go-karts out there for him.
Dude, I don't. Yeah, I mean, look,
he's sponsored by an anchor company now. I don't know.
Look, I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know Bass Pro Shops made anchors. I think it's no secret that
buildanchor.com.
I think it's no secret that RCR doesn't have the short track program, especially this year. But old Rowdy, he definitely carried the banner this week, and Austin, that's pretty bad. 32nd.
Like, if your last name is Dillon, you're not having fun in a car right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he was switched back to his other crew chief again, Justin Alexander.
They had a nice little interchange when it came, or not interchange, exchange on the radio until Granddaddy told him to shut up.
Yeah. Well, that Keith Rodden guy that was his crew chief, that used to be Casey Kane's crew chief at Hendrick. And, I mean, Casey wasn't that great at Hendrick either, so especially those last, I don't know, 3 or 4 years.
Yep. But, all right, that wraps it up for me. I ain't got anything else.
I'm good.
All right, so make sure y'all check out the petition. It's in our link tree, which is in our bio. If you're on YouTube, I posted it and then I pinned it. If you're on Facebook, I'm going to be posting it on our Facebook here in a minute. Sign the petition and share it to as many people as you got. If you got a bunch of people on Twitter, share it there. Share it on Facebook, Instagram. Share it everywhere. We really appreciate it. Hit it up. Hit you up about the flag. I will leave out.
Oh, what up, Andrew?
What's up, Andrew? But hit the petition up, sign it. It only takes a couple seconds, and then it's just another way. And then if we can keep sharing it and just make this into a big ball where it's rolling downhill and picking up steam, who knows? We might be able to actually make something happen, or at least get NASCAR to talk more about it. Give us a test. Give us something. Give me horsepower.
Yeah, test
bring back horsepower.
Jesus Christ. I don't understand why we don't test it.
At least test it. That's what we got to do. It make horsepower great again. We're gonna do some things here. I'm gonna look up some flags. We'll see what we can get going, and we're gonna make it happen.
Make it happen, Captain.
We're gonna make it happen. So thank y'all very much. Really appreciate everyone tuning in. Make sure if you need a cooler, koozies, or even just little ice pack, hit up kangacoolers.com. Use our code Fascar10, or in our link tree, you can click on that link as well and go get yourself a new cooler, koozie, and it does help us out as well. Really appreciate y'all. Other than that, I'm done, man. So thank y'all so much, and I cannot wait for Dega
in Texas.
I said what I said.